On and cover your nose and be safe.
Mask Up India.
A very good morning. It's just past 9 by the clock and we're back again with another edition of Breakfast News. So over the next 60 minutes, this is your one-stop show for all that matters, where we cut all the noise, bring you news as it happens on ground zero. Well, I'm Anil Thomas. Let's get started with the top stories that we are following at the top of this hour. CoWIN becomes the only platform in the world to have 300 million users and 100 billion hits within 5 months. India to offer a CoWIN platform as a digital public good, free of cost to countries across the world. Over 50 countries from across Central Asia, Latin America and Africa interested in this technology. India's COVID vaccination drive in full swing with over 32 crore 85 lakh doses. India overtakes the United States of America in total number of COVID vaccine doses administered. More than 48 lakh 1,000 vaccine doses administered yesterday till 7 p.m. Over 8 crore 95 lakh vaccine doses administered in the age group 18 to 44 so far. Procurement of wheat continues smoothly in states. A total of 432.83 lakh metric tons wheat procured so far during the ongoing Rabi season, up by 11.89% in comparison to last year's corresponding period. About 49 lakh 0.07 farmers benefit from the ongoing wheat procurement. Facebook India and Google India to appear before Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information and Technology today. The committee to hear their views about safeguarding the rights of the citizens and preventing the misuse of social or online news media platforms, with special emphasis on women's security in the digital space. Indian Railways continues to bring relief by delivering liquid medical oxygen to various states. Nearly 34,760 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen delivered in more than 1,976 tankers to various states across the country. COVID situation in Bangladesh continues to be alarming, with the highest number of single-day infections being reported on Monday. Government to enforce a 7-day countrywide restrictions from 1st of July to contain the spread. And in sports, on day one of Wimbledon 2021, Andy Murray seals victory against Nicolas Basseville, while Novak Djokovic beats Jack Draper to advance into the second round. Third seed Stefanos Tsitsipas knocked out of the tournament. And at Euro 2020, Switzerland and Spain through to the quarterfinals. Switzerland defeat France in a thrilling shootout. Spain trump Croatia to march into the last 8. Well, those were the headlines at the top of this hour. Now for the stories in detail, starting first up with COVID-19 vaccination registration portal. CoWIN has become popular and foreign countries are showing interest in this technology. Over 50 countries from across Central Asia, Latin America and Africa are interested in it. CoWIN platform Chief Executive Officer Dr. R.S. Sharma has said that the CoWIN platform has grown to 300 million plus registrations and vaccinations in about 5 months. He stated that this result is due to our experience of Aadhaar and UPI.
CoWIN platform which has been deployed in the country and which today actually has become an extremely scalable platform. In about 5 months' time, it was launched on 16th of January when the Honorable Prime Minister had launched this program. In 5 months' time, it has grown to 300 million plus. There are 300 million plus registrations and vaccinations, and their granularity is each individual. So basically now this platform keeps an account of each individual, when was he vaccinated the first time, which vaccine was administered to him, what were the adverse impact, if any, which the person had sort of experienced, what is the vaccine type, who vaccinated him, everything is there. And then of course a continuous follow-up for him to basically remind him about the second dose of vaccination. That's really something very, very unique in the world.
Well, India continues to vaccinate large number of its population against COVID-19. Till Monday evening, the country has administered 32 crore 85 lakh 54,011 vaccine doses. More than 8 lakh 95,000 vaccine doses, 8 crore 95 lakh vaccine doses have been administered in the age group of 18 to 44 years. On Monday, as many as 48 lakh 1,465 doses of vaccines were administered, of which 28 lakh 63,823 people between the age of 18 to 44 years received their first vaccine dose, while 91,640 got their second. The Sero survey of SARS-CoV-2 infection among the pediatric population of Mumbai was conducted by the BYL Nair Hospital and Kasturba Molecular Diagnostic Laboratory of BMC. The survey found that more than 50% of the pediatric population in healthcare settings has antibodies to COVID-19. It also found that the proportion of pediatric population having antibodies increased as compared to earlier Sero survey. The Mumbai Municipal Corporation, or the BMC, said 2,176 blood samples were tested for the study. It said that the seropositivity is the highest in the age group of 10 to 14 at 53.43%. For children in the age group of 1 to 4, it is 51.04%, while it is 47.33 in the age group of 5 to 9 years. Positivity rate in the age group of 5 to 9 is 47.33. The civic body also said that the decision to conduct the Sero survey among Mumbai's pediatric population was taken amid fears of the next surge in COVID-19 cases, which is anticipated to affect children disproportionately. Indian Railways is continuing its journey of bringing relief by delivering liquid medical oxygen to various states across the country. Oxygen expresses crossed the milestone of 34,000 metric tons of LMO delivery. So far, Railways has delivered nearly 34,760 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen in more than 1,976 tankers to various states across the country. Notably, 474 oxygen expresses have completed the journey so far. Oxygen expresses crossed the mark of 20,000 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen delivery in the southern states of the country, with over 6,476 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen. Tamil Nadu has received the highest delivery from the oxygen expresses. Till now, oxygen expresses have delivered over 3,700 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen in Telangana, 4,800 metric tons in Andhra Pradesh and 4,700 metric tons in Karnataka. Indian Railways has mapped different routes with oxygen supply locations and keeps itself ready with any emerging need of the states. States provide tankers to the Indian Railways for bringing liquid medical oxygen. Moving on, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Monday unveiled an economic stimulus package worth 6.28 lakh crore rupees, announcing a set of measures for reviving the economy battered by a severe second wave of COVID-19. The minister also announced a 50,000 crore rupee credit guarantee scheme for setting up of health infrastructure by private hospitals in cities other than the 8 metropolitan cities.
Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has announced a massive stimulus package of 6,28,993 crore rupees to support Indian economy in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. It will cater to main sectors including tourism, agriculture, health, industry, northeast development and employment generation in the nation. Under the new loan guarantee scheme for COVID-affected sectors, Working capital personal loans will be provided to people in the tourism sector to discharge liabilities and restart businesses impacted due to COVID-19. The scheme will cover 10,700 regional level tourist guides recognized by the Ministry of Tourism, and state governments will be eligible for loans up to 1 lakh rupees. Travel and tourism stakeholders recognized by the Ministry of Tourism will be provided loans up to 10 lakh rupees.
The scheme will cover about 10,700 regional level tourist guides who are recognized by Ministry of Tourism and tourist guides who are recognized by state governments. Travel and tourism stakeholders, which is literally the terminology used to talk about travel agents, I suppose, who are recognized by Ministry of Tourism will also be covered here. What do they get? They get 100% guaranteed credit of 10 lakhs for the TTSs who are agents or travel agencies, and 1 lakh for tourist guides who are licensed either by the regional or the state level authorities.
The center will provide free tourism visa to 5 lakh tourists. Once visa issuance is restarted, the first 5 lakh tourist visas will be issued free of charge. The scheme will be applicable till 31st March 2022 or till 500,000 visas are issued, whichever is earlier.
Once we start visa issuance again, the first 5 lakh tourist visas will be issued totally free of charge. This will benefit for any tourist only once. The scheme will be applicable till 31st March 2022 or till the first 5 lakh of visas get covered. In other words, till 31st March 2022 or till the first 5 lakh tourist visas are issued, everyone gets free tourist visa.
Small industries will also be benefited by the package announced by Finance Minister. Guarantee will be provided to scheduled commercial banks for loans to new or existing NBFC microfinance institutions on lending up to 1.25 lakh rupees to approximately 25 lakh small borrowers. Interest rate on loans from banks will be capped at MCLR plus 2%. The focus will be on new lending, not repayment of old loans. Under the ECLGS, the limit of admissible guarantee and loan amount has been proposed to be increased above the existing level of 20% of outstanding on each loan. While sector-wise details will be finalized as per evolving needs, the overall cap of admissible guarantee to be raised from 3 lakh crore rupees to 4.5 lakh crore rupees.
Through the ECGLS 1, 2 and 3, in which, first we covered the MSMEs, then we also included some other sectors, and the third one also brought in hospitality and others. And as a result of which, 2.69 crores have already been utilized. The rest will also be available for people to utilize it. Now we are enlarging the scope of the ECGLS itself, where it was up to 3 lakh crore. Now we are bringing in another 1.5 lakh crore under the emergency credit line guarantee scheme.
Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana was launched on 1st October 2020 to incentivize employers for creation of new employment, restoration of loss of employment through EPFO. The scheme has been extended till 31st March 2022. The massive stimulus package also includes key steps already announced, including additional subsidy for DAP and PNK fertilizers and extension of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. Apart from this, the centre has allocated 23,220 crore rupees more for public health, with emphasis on children and pediatric care, pediatric beds. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, the economic relief measures announced also aim to prepare the health systems for emergency response and provide impetus for growth and employment. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced several economic relief measures amid COVID pandemic, including 8 economic relief measures, of which 4 are absolutely new and 1 is specific to health infrastructure. 1.1 lakh crore rupees loan guarantee scheme for COVID affected sectors. These include 50,000 crore for health sector and 60,000 crore for other sectors including tourism. The health sector component is aimed at upscaling the medical infrastructure targeting undeserved areas. Guarantee cover will be available both for expansion and new projects related to health medical infrastructure in cities other than 8 metropolitan cities. While the guarantee cover will be 50% for expansion and 75% for new projects. In case of aspirational districts, the guarantee cover of 75% will be available for both new projects and expansion. Maximum loan admissible under the scheme is 100 crores and guarantee duration is up by 2-3 years. Banks can charge a maximum interest of 7.95% on these loans. Loans for other sectors will be available with an interest cap of 8.25% per annum. Thus, the loans available under the scheme will be much cheaper compared to the normal interest rates without guarantee of 10 to 11%. A new scheme for strengthening public health infrastructure and human resources will outlay 23,220 crores was also announced. The new scheme will focus on short-term emergency preparedness with special emphasis on children and pediatric care, pediatric beds. Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana has been extended till November 2021 with additional financial implication of 93,869 crores. But for more on the story, we've got Ajay Mishra, our correspondent tracking finance for us, joining us this morning. Ajay, good morning. Ajay, how do you look at this particular stimulus package that's been done? Does more need to be done? Or how do you see it? You know, does this economic package, stimulus package, make a big difference?
I think, good morning. First of all, there are several messages from yesterday's economic package announced by the FM. It is the first after the second wave of COVID. As we understand, it was a very, very challenging, stage for the government, both at the center and the state level, to fight the pandemic. Now, what does the package say? Package say that India is ready to reform. India is ready to, capture this moment of, crisis and turn it into opportunity. So, what has the finance minister done? She has opened a new window of low interest regime for the fresh loans, which will also boost the employment and create demand into the economy.
Okay.
So the demand creation and employment generation is the key of the yesterday's reform process. Second, the FM has said very, very importantly that government is open to reform in terms of procedures and policies. So she has said that she will now prepare a new policy for public-private partnership, which means that she understands, and the government at large understands, that there are some difficulties in order to for rolling out the public-private partnership for infrastructure and other kind of projects. So you will see a new policy going forward for the PPP project, which has been we have been hearing from since I think 10 to 15 years, but nothing has happened on ground. Not much has happened on ground.
Okay.
Just to emphasize. So it is a focus, sector-specific focus, where the things needs to be done in terms of COVID management and also the demand management at large. Finance Minister is trying to say to the world that India is ready and it is the best place to invest. Come and invest in India. And here is an economy which has the green shoots already on the ground, and India is ready to pick up demand, in the short term rather than in the long run.
Ajay, one quick word before I let you go. The policy approach, since last year has been, to somewhere let the banks do that heavy lifting, when it comes to reviving the economy. Do you feel some different approach has been taken this time around, especially when it comes to, this stimulus package that's been announced?
I think focus and approach has been very consistent and very, very clear. First, everyone will be given the subsistence amount of money to take care of their families through Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. That's point number one. Second, that in this time of crisis, this time has to be utilized for the infrastructure creation. So look at the massive investment proposed for the power sector, for the IT infrastructure in each villages, because government understands that IT systems have to go to the Gram Panchayat level, and that's where we can see the massive investment. Power sector reforms are going to be the next big reforms, both at the state and central level. But the health sector has been the core focus, because government understands that it has to fight the third wave, which has been anticipated, and you have seen that 50,000 crore has been allocated for the private sector to utilize in terms of low interest loan, and another 23,000 crore rupees has been given, where this will be used for the creation of infrastructure at the center and the state level. So now it is up to the center, it is up to the state governments how to utilize that money, because 15,000 crore will come from the center and the rest will come from the states. So states now will have to come forward to formulate the policies to create the health infrastructure so that there is no hue and cry as we have seen in the second wave. So government wants to prepare better for the third wave. It wants to send signal that there is a demand in the economy, and it is ready to support all the sectors which are affected by COVID, and want to ensure both at the domestic and the foreign investors that India is ready to fight the pandemic. And by announcing that we are going to have a 5 lakh visa to start with, we are actually saying that India is trying to be ready to welcome anyone who wants to visit post-pandemic.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us this morning, giving us insights into that stimulus package that was announced by the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Well, moving on, procurement of wheat in the ongoing Rabi market season 2021-22 is continuing smoothly in the procuring states. So far, 432.83 lakh metric tons of wheat has been procured against last year's corresponding purchase of 386.83 lakh metric tons, which is 11.89% higher. Wheat procurement in Rajasthan has reached an all-time high of 23.19 lakh metric tons. 49,07,000 farmers have benefited from the ongoing procurement with MSP of 85,483.25 crores. Paddy procurement in the ongoing Kharif season is also continuing smoothly. 853.89 lakh metric tons of paddy has been procured against last year's corresponding purchase of 753.25 lakh metric tons. About 125.99 lakh farmers have already benefited from the ongoing Kharif market season procurement operations with the MSP value of 1,61,213.98 crores. Paddy procurement has also reached an all-time high level, surpassing the previous high of 773.45 lakh metric tons in the Kharif market season of 2019-20. Well, officials of Facebook and Google have been summoned by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology to present their views on safeguarding citizens' rights and prevention of misuse of social online news media platforms, with special emphasis on women's security in the digital space. This comes days after representatives of Twitter appeared before the panel to discuss India's new IT rules and how to stop the misuse of the platform. Well, for more on the story, we've got Arun Sharma, our correspondent, joining us this morning. Arun, good morning. Arun, give us a sense of, this particular move there, coming before the standing committee. Something happened similar to Twitter this month. This time around, Facebook and Google both in the dock. Prima facie, how do you see this playing out, when the representative meets the standing committee?
Well, Anil, one thing is for sure as of now, that the common concerns are being shared by the legislatives, executives and the judiciary as far as the misuse of the online platform or the social media is concerned. And today when the Parliament, Standing Committee has summoned the officials of Facebook and Google, the three important aspects to it as to the, a report will have to be presented in front of the Parliamentary Standing Committee as to, when it comes to social media or online media, how safe is this online platform like Google and Facebook, how Facebook and Google are ensuring as far as safeguarding the rights of the citizens for all those who are already on the social media platform. And specifically, as far as the fake news is concerned, online media is concerned, the safety of women is concerned on the online platform, online media, all these, things will be asked or quizzed from the parliamentary panel to the officials of Facebook and Google. Earlier, we have seen when it comes to Twitter. Now, Twitter recently showed a wrong map. Twitter recently, blocked the accounts of the IT minister himself, Ravi Shankar Prasad, and we also know this fact that similar thing happened with Shashi Tharoor, who is also heading this parliamentary standing committee's panel on information technology. So yes, we know this fact that as far as Twitter is concerned, Twitter has lost that status of intermediary. But now, as far as Facebook and Google are concerned, how safe these platforms are. Because one thing is for sure, that law of the land should apply to whichever entity is working in any of the country. So if in case Facebook, Google, Twitter might have their own policies, but their policies can't change from country to country. For instance, if in case Google and Facebook are working and operational in USA, for which these are the listed companies as well in USA, they are following all the rules and guidelines by the formulated by the government. But when it comes to other countries, for example, India, these countries say that we have our own policies. But yes, the important and significant aspect that the executives of our country, the legislatives of our country have made it very clear that, of course, the law of the land should follow. That means these entities, the Facebook, Google, Twitter, all these companies, if they are working in India, they have to follow the law of the land. So when it comes to fake news, when it comes to safety and security of the women in the digital space, when it comes to safeguarding the rights of the citizens on the social media platform, it is very much important that the Facebook, Google, or be it Twitter, because Twitter has not been summoned today, but yes, as far as Facebook and Google are concerned, they have to showcase the roadmap as to what are they doing as far as safeguarding citizens' right on the online platform. Anil?
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us this morning with those updates there on that particular story. Well, moving on now to news from Jammu and Kashmir, where the top Lashkar-e-Taiba commander Abrar and one Pakistani terrorist have been gunned down by security personnel during an encounter at Malhora in Parimpura area of Srinagar this morning. In a tweet, Kashmir Police Zone informed that incriminating materials along with arms and ammunition have been recovered. Search is underway. Well, news just coming in, the National Investigation Agency, that's NIA, has been handed over the investigation of the drone attack case of Jammu Air Force Base by the Ministry of Home Affairs. But for more on the story, we've got Sudhakar on the phone line joining us this morning. Sudhakar, good morning. Sudhakar, the significance of this handover, especially to the NIA when it comes to that drone attack in Jammu.
Initial investigation suggested that it was a terror attack, and also it revealed that Pakistan-based terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba is possibly behind this drone strike at Jammu Air Base in early hours of Sunday. So the Home Ministry has decided to hand over this case to the NIA, and NIA, which is assisting the local police and Indian Air Force from start in the investigations, has been handed over this case. While Anil, we can say that while the security agency and state police are still tightly about this attack, but fact is that the Pakistan-based terror group was targeting the air traffic control tower with one drone, and other was aiming at either the parked IF helicopter or the radar. And also we know that they have also received. They have also उन्होंने अनिल कुछ जब्त भी किया था आईडी जो 5-6 किलोग्राम, और जो जानकारी मिली पूरे घटनाक्रम से एक जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय नेक्सस हो सकता है भारत के सैन्य ठिकानों पर हमला करने का, ये इस साजिश को देखते हुए इस साजिश का खुलासा करने के लिए एनआईए को ये केस दिया गया है. And Anil, we know that NIA already investigating a lot of cases related to terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir, and especially on bases related to Army, Air Forces. And उनको कई जानकारियां, महत्वपूर्ण जानकारियां हैं इस बारे में, खुफिया जानकारियां हैं कि इस तरह की प्लानिंग पहले भी की जा रही थी. उस लिहाज से ये जो पूरी जांच सौंपा जाना काफी महत्वपूर्ण है. और एनआईए के सूत्रों का कहना है कि उन्होंने कई चीजें एक तरह से कह सकते हैं आइडेंटिफाई की हैं जिस तरीके का ये अटैक है, जिस तरह के विस्फोटकों का इसमें इस्तेमाल किया गया है, और निश्चित तौर पर इसको एक लॉजिकल कंक्लूजन तक पहुंचाने में, इस पूरे घटनाक्रम को, इस पूरे साजिश को का पर्दाफाश करने में एक एजेंसी, एक राष्ट्रीय जांच एजेंसी जिसका एक इंटरनेशनल इन्वेस्टिगेशन भी हो सकता है, उससे जरूर मदद मिलेगी. अनिल?
Okay, also looking at this particular, the investigation, to date, now being handed over, how is this particular process now going to be followed, especially now that NIA takes over?
देखिए, एक प्रक्रिया होती है, अगर कोई यूएपीए कानून के तहत
बिल्कुल
अगर आतंकी साजिश है, उस मामले में केंद्र सरकार के तरफ से या तो अधिसूचना जारी कर सकती है, या राज्य या केंद्र शासित प्रदेश इसके लिए केंद्र सरकार को सिफारिश कर सकता है. लेकिन जिस तरह से शुरुआत में ही ये एक तरह से बहुत गंभीर घटना के तौर पर केंद्र सरकार ने लिया था, इंडियन एयरफोर्स के बेस को निशाना बनाने की कोशिश की गई थी. उसके बाद हमने देखा कि सैन्य ठिकानों पर एक दो और जगह ड्रोन देखे जाने की बात सामने आई. तो उसको देखते हुए जरूर इस तरह की और भी घटनाओं की साजिश रचने की कोशिश की जा रही है. ये एक इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर रहा होगा गृह मंत्रालय के इस फैसले के पीछे. दूसरा महत्वपूर्ण फैक्टर ये है क्योंकि लश्कर तैयबा, जैश ए मोहम्मद, इनके कई और अन्य मसलों की जांच एनआईए कर रहा है, और एनआईए जो पूरा एक तंत्र चलता है, साजिश जम्मू कश्मीर में जिस तरह की साजिशें की जाती हैं, उससे बहुत अच्छे से वाकिफ है. एनआईए को उसके बारे में बहुत अच्छी जानकारी है. और तीसरी, जो विस्फोटकों को लेकर एक जो ट्रेल एनआईए या फिर सुरक्षा एजेंसियों को मिल पाया है, तो एक एनआईए कोऑर्डिनेटिंग एजेंसी के बीच भी राज्य पुलिस हो, खुफिया एजेंसियां हो, उनके बीच साथ मिलकर काम कर सकता है. तो इन तमाम महत्वपूर्ण पहलुओं को ध्यान में रखते हुए और उनका एक ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड जो एनआईए का है उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए जांच को सौंपने का फैसला लिया गया. लेकिन बेहद महत्वपूर्ण जरूर एनआईए को भी ये हिदायत गई होगी कि जल्द से जल्द इस मामले के अपराधियों तक पहुंचा जाए, क्योंकि एक तरह से बहुत गंभीर तरीके से पूरे घटनाक्रम को केंद्रीय सुरक्षा एजेंसियों ने केंद्र सरकार कर दिया.
Okay, thank you and appreciate you joining us. We've got Ramesh Raina, our correspondent, joining us from Jammu to give us an insight in this particular story. Ramesh, looking at this particular development where the case has been handed over to the NIA, is it purely keeping in mind the international ramifications?
See, this incident, this has happened for the first time in such a sensitive area of Indian Air Force base. So this incident has got wide-ranging international ramifications, and in fact, several security agencies are involved in the investigation. We have got Jammu and Kashmir Police, other agencies, and National Energy and NIA. But since keeping the track record of NIA, Government of India has decided that the investigation into this case, which is very serious one, considering the fact that such a vital installation was on the target of these our enemies. So it has been decided to hand over the case to NIA. And exactly, Sudhakar was telling that the NIA might have been asked to investigate quickly, so that the persons, the elements who are behind this deadly incident, they are tracked down.
Okay, now also Ramesh, give us an insight into the preliminary probe by the Indian Air Force. What exactly are the findings that that has been privy to the media?
See, that Jammu and Kashmir, especially Jammu, is close to the vicinity of this Indo-Pak border, and this Jammu airport or Jammu Indian Air Force base. This is just 12 to 15 kilometers from this Pakistani border, Indo-Pak border. And we have seen some incidents in the last couple of months that Pakistan has even though there is some agreement between India and Pakistan about this ceasefire, but and we have seen that from the last couple of months there is no exchange of fire on the borders. But a new modus operandi has been adopted by Pakistan, where it has been sending drones from across the border with arms and dropping it into the Indian territory. And we can what Air Force has, what other security agencies have given it to media. They are just saying that exactly that these drones they might have flown from across the border, because it is just 10 to 12 kilometers that this Air Force station is located from the Indo-Pak border. So it is believed that Pakistan and the elements which are there, they are behind this attack, and they have been these vital installations. It was a target, and yesterday also there were drones were seen in this military area of Kaluchek and Ratnuchek, where they were fired upon. They fled, but you can see that our enemy is behind all this, and this is a new modus operandi adopted by our enemy.
Okay, we'll leave it there. The Indian Air Force base attack there, that particular probe being handed over to the NIA. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Sudhakar, as well as Ramesh Rena, giving us an insight from Jammu. Well, time now to shift focus and take a look at the COVID situation across the country. India continues to show decline in the new daily COVID-19 cases. The country has reported less than 40,000 new daily cases after 102 days. In the last 24 hours, 37,566 new cases were reported in India. With this, the country's active caseload has declined to 5,52,659. The active cases currently constitute 1.82% of the total cases. The daily recoveries continue to outnumber the daily new cases for the 47th consecutive day. In the last 24 hours, 56,994 patients have recovered. A total of 2,93,66,601 patients have recovered across the country so far, and India's recovery rate has now increased to 96.87%. Weekly positivity rate and daily positivity rate remain below 5%, and the weekly positivity rate is currently at 2.74%, while the daily positivity rate is at 2.12%. Well, let's move on to our next segment, where we bring you news from across the globe. Well, a quick check on how COVID-19 numbers stack up across the world. So far, more than 18 crore, 21 lakh people have been infected by COVID-19. Total recoveries constitute 16 crore, 67 lakh people recovering from the virus. Total deaths, 39 lakh 45,000 people dying due to COVID-19 world over. United States continues to remain the worst affected by the pandemic, both in terms of infections as well as fatalities. In terms of infections, 3 crore 45 lakh. In terms of fatalities, 6 lakh 19,000, and the number continues to rise. Britain's new Health Minister Sajid Javid told Parliament in London on Monday that restrictions on our freedom must come to an end, setting July 19th as the date the government would lift most of the remaining COVID-19 restrictions. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, whose government is again under fire after the resignation of his Health Minister Matt Hancock for breaking the restrictions, had hoped to unlock Britain's economy last week. However, with coronavirus cases rising, driven largely by the more transmissible Delta variant, the government postponed the date until July 19th amid criticism from many businesses which want lockdown to end to try and recoup their losses.
With the numbers heading in the right direction, all while we protect more and more people each day, July the 19th remains our target date. The Prime Minister has called it our terminus date. For me, 19th July is not only the end of the line, but the start of an exciting new journey for our country.
The COVID-19 situation in Bangladesh continues to be alarming, with the highest number of single-day infections being reported from the country on Monday. A total of 8,364 new coronavirus cases were reported in the country, which is the highest number since the pandemic was detected in March last year. Responding to the sharp increase in the pandemic, the Bangladesh government has announced a 7-day countrywide restrictions from July 1st. The closure of the border for public movement with India has also been extended further for 2 weeks beyond 30th of June. However, movement of cargo will be allowed during this period. Meanwhile, Dhaka and other cities of the country reported partial implementation of the 3-day restrictions imposed on the movement of public transport and shutdown of shops, malls and restaurants in the country, which started on Monday. Well, for more on the story, we've got Prasar Bharati correspondent Rajesh Jha joining us this morning. Rajesh, give us a sense of urgency there. You know, a 7-day lockdown being announced, but is the situation there in Bangladesh grim?
Well, Anil, if you look at the situation, the lockdown has been implemented right from 5th of April. So
Exactly.
it was the... Hello?
Yeah, go on, please. We can hear.
Yes. 5th of April, the government of Bangladesh has been implementing various kinds of permutations and combinations of lockdown in the country. But the infection and death due to corona has been rising, and this has led government to take very harsh measures. It has decided to implement 2 phases of lockdown. The first one started yesterday when the government announced that for 3 days there would be no public transport all over the country, and only rickshaws and it would be permitted to travel, permitted to ply on the roads. Followed by this 3-day restriction from 1st of July, the government has announced that a very strict lockdown would be implemented all over the country, which would be monitored by armed forces, border guard, Bangladesh, and the police forces all over the country. The cabinet secretary in his briefing yesterday for the media said that government is very serious and they would not allow anybody to move out of their homes unless there is an emergency. He announced that unlike the past lockdowns when kind of a movement pass was allowed to people to come out of their homes, this time they are not going to allow anyone to come out, and they are not going to even issue movement passes because these are often misused by people to come out of the homes. So there are very strong indications that the government is going to implement this current phase of lockdown in the country. They are not calling it lockdown, they are calling it hard restrictions from 1st of July, because the positivity rate in the yesterday, the latest figure that has been released by the Directorate General of Health Services was over 23%, which is very, very high. So that is the situation here in Bangladesh, and let us see how this thing is implemented in the country, because that is the most important thing. Government may announce it, but the implementation remains a very key factor in its success.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us this morning, giving us an update there on the situation there in the neighboring country, Bangladesh. Well, let's now move on to our next section, Web News Review. Well, I've got my colleague Nancy standing by to give us the latest from the social media and also the newspaper platforms. And over to you, Nancy.
Thanks, Anil. Good morning to our viewers, and taking a look at what news is being carried across the World Wide Web. And big first to this news from Times of COVID-19. So, can the new Delta Plus variant affect people who are fully vaccinated? And here's what is known about this variant so far. Well, during such critical times, really, when we're just revived from the implications of the second wave and are returning back to normalcy, being mindful and adhering to COVID-appropriate behavior is the only way to prevent the spread of the virus, especially in the wake of these new variants really coming in. So while the Delta Plus variant is more transmissible and spreads faster than the previous variants, maintaining social distance, double masking, practicing hygiene practices like washing of hands regularly or sanitizing is of utmost importance. So now additionally also vaccination is the only way to gain some immunity against the virus, and also studies have shown, Anil, that suggesting that certain COVID vaccines can prove effective against the new variants, including the Delta variant as well, which makes it all the more important for all of us, for everyone, to get the vaccine shot. Moving on now to this news, as far as the Sensex is concerned, yesterday closing of falling 189 points, Nifty ending below 15,850. Titan, TCS, HCL Tech are the top losers. The benchmark indices closed lower yesterday with the negative trend in the global market, Sensex ending there 189.45 points lower at 52,735, and Nifty settling there 45.65 points down at 15,814. While earlier the Sensex had touched a lifetime high of 53,126, and Nifty touching a lifetime peak of 15,915. While Dr. Reddy's share was the top Sensex gainer, rising 1.75%, followed by Tata Steel, Tech Mahindra, and Sun Pharma. And of the 30 Sensex stocks, 20 there ended in the red. Well, Titan there was the top loser on the Sensex, shedding over 1.56%, followed by TCS, HCL Tech, Reliance Industries, Ultimate Cement, and Bharati Airtel. Well, the reason here being cited there by the market experts being that after opening at a record high, the domestic markets they slipped into the negative zone, tracking cues from global fears due to spike in the COVID-19 cases across Asia. Moving on now to some sports news. Well, archer Deepika Kumari becomes world #1 after winning gold at the World Cup. The star in archer Deepika Kumari has weakened the #1 position in the global rankings following her hat-trick of gold medals at the World Cup Stage 3. There, the 27-year-old from Ranchi who had achieved the top spot for the first time in 2012 has claimed gold medals in the 3 recurve events, that's women's individual, team and mixed pair. Well, in fact, the World Archery there had tweeted that this is going to take Deepika to the #1 spot in the world rankings. Thereafter, of course, that developed. And well, T20 World Cup to be shifted from India to the UAE, and this has been confirmed by the BCCI President Saurav Ganguly. The T20 World Cup there scheduled to be held in India is being shifted now to the UAE owing to this health safety concerns posed by COVID-19. The BCCI President Saurav Ganguly has confirmed, in fact, ending weeks of speculation surrounding the mega event in October-November. And in fact, he said that we have officially intimated the ICC that the T20 World Cup can be shifted to the UAE while the details are still being chalked out. The decision, he said, was taken keeping the health safety concerns of all the stakeholders in mind. Well, that's all the news from the World Wide Web in the Web News Review from me for this morning. Anil, it's back to you for the rest of the news.
Well, thank you, Nancy, for getting us the latest from the social media and also the newspaper platforms. Well, moving on to our next segment, that's taking a look at all the sports stories. Well, first up, world #1 Novak Djokovic began his bid for a 6th Wimbledon title and 20th Grand Slam with a 4-6, 6-1, 6-2, 6-2 win against wildcard Jack Draper. Draper stunned the Serb top seed with a confident start, winning the first set, but Djokovic bounced back strongly to stage a comeback. This is the first time, this is after 2010, that somebody's taken a first set of Djokovic very early in the tournament, but the 5-time champion fought back to win on centre court in 4 sets. Britain's Andy Murray marked his long-awaited comeback at Wimbledon with a tough 4-set victory over Nicolas Basvilla in the opening round. Andy Murray won in 4 sets, 6-4, 6-3, 5-7, 6-3 in his comeback game. World #4 and seeded 3rd in the tournament, Stefanos Tsitsipas suffered a shock straight set defeat by American Frances Tiafoe. Tsitsipas was beaten 4-6, 4-6, 3-6 by the impressive world #57 Tiafoe on court #1. It is the 3rd time in 4 attempts that the 22-year-old Greek has exited the tournament in the opening round. Tiafoe will play Canada's Vasek Pospisil in the 2nd round. In women's singles, Aryna Sabalenka opened Wimbledon 2021 with a straight sets win over Romanian qualifier Monica Niculescu. The 2nd seed breezed past Niculescu 6-1, 6-4 in the first match of the championship. With persistent rain preventing play on the outside courts, the Belarusian kicked off the championship under the closed roof on court #1 and set the green grass on fire with her aggressive tennis. On to football and Euro 2020, Kylian Mbappe missed the crucial kick as Switzerland beat France on penalties in the Euro last 16 after a classic European Championship game. The Swiss had been seconds away from elimination during 90 minutes, but go through to face Spain after progressing from a major tournament knockout game for the first time since 1938. Switzerland plays Spain, who also came through a thriller 5-3 after extra time against Croatia in the quarterfinals in St. Petersburg on Friday. This is the biggest shock of Euro 2020 so far, with world champions France having been tipped to win the tournament before it started. Meanwhile, Spain reached the quarterfinals of Euro 2020 in dramatic fashion by beating Croatia in extra time after an 8-goal thriller. Well, 2 games, 14 goals, 1 giant killing. Was it the best day in Euros history? Kylian Mbappe missed the crucial kick as France beat as Switzerland beat France on penalties in Euro 2020 last 16 after a classic European Championship game. On the other hand, Spain beat Croatia in dramatic fashions. Two extraordinary games that are almost the mirror image of each other. Let's take a look at this report.
Two games went to extra time after late goals overturned 3-1 deficits in extraordinary fashion, and there were 14 goals in total, the second most in the competition's history. Last Wednesday, there were 18 goals across 4 games, but Monday's 240 minutes of drama gave that record a good run for its money. In Copenhagen, there was a bizarre own goal, late heroics from substitutes, and broken hearts at full time. In Bucharest, there was a wonder goal, a penalty shootout, and a giant killing. Simply put, it was football in its purest form. An epic game with unspeakable sadness. For Spain manager Luis Enrique, it was an epic game with a beautiful ending, but Croatia midfielder Nikola Lasic's heart was as big as a house, and then it broke after we conceded twice. Those emotions sum up what a frantic evening it was as Spain progressed to the quarterfinals following a 5-3 win over Croatia in extra time. Enrique's side were rocked when Croatia substitutes Mislav Orsic and Mario Pasalic scored twice in the final 5 minutes to come back from 3-1 down, but Spain rallied as the added 30 minutes produced yet more drama. I've lived through really intense matches as a player and manager, but this one genuinely had a bit of everything, said Enrique afterwards. The greatest game on the planet. But if anything was to contest for the title of the best game so far, it was the one that followed in Bucharest as Switzerland shocked world champions France. Didier Deschamps' side trailed at half-time, but 2 goals from Karim Benzema and a stunning long-range strike from Paul Pogba put them in the driving seat. Switzerland's Haris Seferovic and Mario Gavranovic then forced extra time, and if there was not enough drama already, France superstar Kylian Mbappe's deciding penalty kick was saved in the shootout. Former Republic of Ireland midfielder Roy Keane says, as neutrals we got sucked right into it. Honestly, this is why it's the greatest game on the planet. Switzerland captain Granit Xhaka said that they'd made history, while goalkeeper Jan Sommer, the hero of the shootout, described it as crazy. France goalkeeper Hugo Lloris added, "We went through every emotion possible, and honestly that was football the way we like it. But the 2 goals we conceded in the last quarter of an hour really hurts." Sports Desk, DD India.
Well, yoga is the mantra for healthy life. Pranayam is a yoga technique that once needs to be done, and let's take a look at this particular yoga for healthy living. Well, yoga is the mantra for healthy life. Pranayam is a main component of yoga. Pranayam has benefits of its own. Let's take a look at this report.
Pran means breath. Pranayam is the practice of breath control. So let's learn this art of breathing.
Today we will be practicing Nadi Shodhan Pranayam, also known as Anulom Vilom Pranayam or alternate nostril breathing. This practice is being done by breathing through left and right nostril alternately with or without holding the breath. So let's start with the practice. Settle down on your mats or on chair, whatever you are comfortable with. Keep your spine and head straight and gently close your eyes. Now rest your left hand in Jnana Mudra on your left knee. Through your right hand to form Nasagra Mudra, bend middle finger and your index finger. Through your thumb, close your right nostril. Now inhale through left nostril. Close your left nostril using your ring finger and little finger. and releasing the thumb, exhale through right nostril. Inhale through right nostril, close your right nostril and exhale through left nostril. This is one round of Nadi Shodhan Pranayam. Initially the duration for inhalation and exhalation will be same, but gradually you will have to increase the duration for exhalation to double of inhalation. One more thing to be kept in mind is while performing the practice, your breath has to be slow, steady and controlled. Now this pranayam helps to remove blockages from all the energy channels called nadis in the body and helps to nourish the body. It increases vitality and concentration and lowers the level of stress in the body. So inculcate the habit of practicing yoga in your life and motivate others to practice.
Regular practice of pranayam helps in better breathing, increased flow of oxygen and a strong respiratory system. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
Well, let's now take a look at today's weather forecast. Well, a look at the satellite image there. The northern limit of southwest monsoon continues to pass through Barmer, Bhilwara, Dholpur, Aligarh, Meerut, Ambala and Amritsar. Prevailing meteorological conditions, large-scale atmospheric features and forecast wind pattern by dynamic models suggest that no favorable conditions are likely to develop for further advance of southwest monsoon into remaining parts of Rajasthan, West Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi over the next 6 to 7 days. Subdued rainfall activity very likely to prevail over northwest, central and western parts of peninsular India during the next 5 days. Isolated scattered thunderstorm activity accompanied by lightning and rainfall likely to also be over the regions with subdued monsoon activity period. Heavy rainfall can be seen over Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura over the next 48 hours. Isolated extremely heavy falls over Assam and Meghalaya to be seen in the next 48 hours. Strong surface winds over Haryana and West Uttar Pradesh very likely tomorrow and day after. Let's now take a look at the weather in your city. When the hills are known for keeping with them nature's most precious treasures, before we end this edition of Breakfast News, we take you to Himachal Pradesh, Shimla, where the cherry gardens are in full bloom. We leave you with this enchanting visuals to kickstart your Tuesday. But remember, if you have still not got your jab, please go ahead and get yourself that important vaccine doses that are necessary for you and I to see a better tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Have a safe and wonderful day ahead.